hold on to your underpants. So obviously the UK left the EU a couple of days ago, so 8 days ago, with the amazing hot tits trade deal, sexy time, whoopee, yeah,
The oven ready deal.
the oven ready deal.
Which, when it came down to it, wasn't so oven ready at all. Towards the end of it, it turned
With
out completely, made up. And actually, that oven ready deal that they were talking about was actually the withdrawal agreement. It wasn't actually the trade deal that, even
no,
though it was obviously the trade deal that they were talking about, and they did a little bait and switch when they realised, they didn't have a
yeah,
deal. Oh no, we were always talking about the withdrawal agreement. And
exactly.
before people accuse us of being, moany Remainers or anything. Me and Mike, we have a broad opinion on this. Full
Mm,
disclosure, Mark voted Remain, I voted Leave on these things. So this
mm,
shouldn't be looked at us, just anti-Brexit or anything like that.
no, no,
But
no,
Brexit is a catastrophe,
yeah,
demonstrably right now. So it shouldn't be looked at as, oh, you're just Remainiacs or anything like that.
no, no, no.
Diverse opinions on this, but this is in no one's interest.
No, you've got to
This
be objective.
benefits nobody, and
Oh,
it just proves, and it makes me think years later, it's like, a lot of the stuff being said was bollocks, even, and it really makes you think that these people, and, you look at Gove in particular, I think it's particularly sinister.
yeah.
Boris Johnson obviously just doesn't really believe anything. You look at these people and you're like, they were really talking a lot of bollocks for a long time.
It didn't have to be like this. It didn't. And obviously,
A
I
lot of
voted
factors.
Remain. I didn't want this to happen, but it was going to happen. People voted for it, so fine. But then literally everything that was promised, the things we were told were going to happen, got flushed down the toilet one after the other. And that's what's so ironic about this title is by the end, literally the only thing that Johnson and his cabinet were talking about was fish. And it transpires 8 days into this deal, they've destroyed the fishing industry in the UK.
Mm. Yeah,
It,
that's come out in the last couple. I mean,
yeah,
all these,
I've got another one here. Yeah, here we go. And Scotland getting hammered.
boom, exactly,
You know,
exactly. And remember, Scotland voted every single constituency voted in, but on the voted to remain
Remain. Yeah,
on
yeah,
on the coast, or up by Aberdeen, Murray, all those places. There was a quite significant
leave. Yeah,
leave vote in those areas, and they've
yeah,
been
yeah.
shafted here. They've been shafted.
The things they were holding on to by the end was always going to be good for fishing and it's going to be good for farming. Both industries have been hammered.
Yeah, two big selling points on Brexit, at least that I remember, was the disgrace that was the Common Agricultural Policy. Whether or not it was disgrace,
Sure. I
they
mean,
were saying it was.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
and then the Common Fisheries Policy, and
Yeah.
these were two things that were lauded. It's like, look at this outrageous EU bureaucracy, you know, withholding our potential or whatever.
Withholding our English fish,
I mean, just look at these things that are rolling
their
in
little
within a week,
passports.
within a week of actually leaving. We're seeing these things roll in, and it just makes you think,
Yeah.
how will these things continue? And it also makes me laugh because throughout the Brexit referendum, I know people like Nigel Farage, Peter Hitchens, although Peter Hitchens didn't want the referendum at all, I don't think, and Daniel Hannan, they were all talking about the ideal thing would be a kind of Norway plus deal. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
as soon as it came down to it, oh, we should probably stay in the single market or whatever. They got thrown out the window. I was like, well, we never
Yeah.
meant we should stay in this. Hold on, we've
You
got recordings
campaigned on
of
it.
it.
You
We've got
campaigned on it.
you campaigned on a Norway-esque deal, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And that kind of was one of the first casualties. Back when Theresa May was trying to push her Chequers deal
Yeah.
or whatever. Then all of a sudden, all these kind of things that were said just kind of got thrown out the window, and it just makes you, yeah.
And that's the thing. And the biggest giveaway is obviously just today, I think it was, Michael Gove was being interviewed and said, oh, well, Northern Ireland's got the best of both deals. So, well, that's
both worlds. Yeah.
That's basically what Norway has. So if Northern Ireland's got it, why don't we get it?
They've got the best of both worlds, but then the rest of the UK's got kind of a much more
Well, the rest of the UK got
we have
shafted.
then,
Is what happened.
where we live. What do we have?
Yeah, exactly. It's unbelievable. I just I don't understand. I don't see this being sustainable. It's already falling apart, and it has been 8 days. It is, and the crazy thing is the UK does not understand how negotiations work.
Mm.
The whole 4 years they were basically just like throwing their toys out the pram, but they've been completely outmaneuvered by the EU here. Let's just step back and look what happened. So the EU is a goods exporting bloc.
Hmm.
It's got a surplus of
Yeah.
goods it wants to, and it's got a surplus with us. So it sends that all to us. So they've got a goods surplus, so it's in their interest to keep sending us goods,
Mhm.
and we've got a goods deficit. We are a services economy.
Yeah. And we've got
We
we've got a surplus in services.
exactly.
How our biggest industries, the financial services industry,
Yeah,
the services industry, the service sector more
yeah.
generally. Look how that isn't represented in the deal
No,
that was signed
well,
and
exactly.
voted
And
for.
this is my point. This is my point. So the EU said, fine, we'll do a deal on goods. And we went, yeah, we will, because of fish,
Yeah.
forgetting that 80% of our economy is services.
Mm.
So they screwed themselves. They screwed the UK. The UK, whether you like it or not, we should be doing things in our country beyond services. Now that's a whole different conversation, I think, for another day about how we actually restructure the UK to actually do something beyond just process euros, which is essentially what we've been doing for the last 30 years. Um,
And
you know,
hiding money in the
and
city.
hiding money for rich people in the Cayman Islands. That's essentially our economy right now. We don't make anything, we don't do anything, we just process money and offer services. Great, all right, fine. But this is the problem. So we agreed on
Yeah.
a deal that didn't involve services at all, none. So the EU got everything it wanted,
Mm.
and the UK has been like, yeah, but we won. It's like, no, you crippled your economy.
You took yourself out at the ankles. You tackled yourself, own goal. And this is
Unbelievable.
a good deal for French, farmers and wine growers. This is a good
Yeah,
deal for German chemical, companies and
and car
German car
manufacturing. Yeah,
manufacturers.
exactly. Yeah,
This is
yeah,
a good deal for actual, like we were saying, goods from the EU, and it's a bad deal for everything that our economy actually does, because
yeah. Does
we don't realize how huge the
look at this? Look at this.
financialization and the financial services sector
Oh, exactly.
is for our economy, and that just isn't. Whether or
Well,
not you think the financial services is a good thing, they are a significant part
this
of
is the
this.
reality. Everyone's living off of transfers from the financial centre that is London. That's literally the UK economy, and and the UK government blew its head off
Mm.
to get a deal that it didn't understand because it doesn't understand its own fucking economy. And that's where we're at now. We've got people making negotiations for us that don't understand our economy. One last example before we move on, right,
Mm.
is who's the who's our trade minister? Liz Truss, is it?
Liz Truss, I believe.
Liz Truss, right? She negotiated that trade deal with Japan, right? She gave Japan tariff-free access for cars from Japan,
Yeah.
and in exchange, she got tariff-free access for cheese to
Yeah, the
Japan.
headlines was Stilton, wasn't it? I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah. The
Outrageous.
Japanese don't eat cheese.
Mm.
So literally, she stood up at the negotiating table and said, "We'll give you cars, which is a huge export market for Japan,
Yeah.
into the UK, tariff free, if you give us cheese, which is literally 1% of 1% of 1%, because the Japanese don't like cheese, the vast
Isn't,
majority of
isn't there quite a high percentage of Japanese people who are lactose intolerant or
Yeah,
something like that? So
they're
they
actually
can't eat.
physically allergic to the fucking stuff. This is the thing. And fucking Galaxy Brain, Liz Truss has gone, well, I love Stilton, so the Japanese must love Stilton. So if we'll remove tariffs of cars as long as you give us access for cheese. It's like, and Japan must have sat there at the table and gone,
Must have
I mean,
snapped the hand off of the
yeah,
bloody UK negotiator. That sounds like an awfully good
yeah,
deal.
that sounds like an excellent deal.
It's like you've done all the negotiating for
Yeah,
us.
you've basically negotiated yourself in a corner where you've basically compromised your own position for us. So fine. So I mean, I think there's going to be a lot more of this. I think more and more is going to come
I
out because
think we're just in the beginning of.
they don't know what they're doing. They do not know what they're doing.
And
But
then the quite interesting thing, dynamic at play here, and I know we've talked about this privately, is how Labour was whipped to vote for it. So now
oh
Labour has ownership
yeah,
of this deal in
yeah they
some,
do.
as they were whipped to do it, and it's like, you didn't have to put yourself in this position. It was going to go through either way.
Yeah, no, the Conservatives had the votes. They could have abstained, and this is the problem now because Keir Starmer, with his little fucking hair and I'm jealous because I haven't had a haircut in 6 months, so that's why I'm hiding it. And that's why I support Scotland indefinitely now. So I'm jealous. This is coming from jealousy. Let's be honest, follicle jealousy. But he's going to get up and he's going to say, "Oh, this deal's so shit," and Boris Johnson's going to go, "Well, you voted for it.
You voted for it, mate. You voted for it."
And that's that. That's the end of it.
Well done to all the Labour MPs who voted against it. Because on principle, leave or remain, this wasn't a good deal.
And fair play to Plaid, fair play to the Greens, fair play to the SNP, fair play to the Lib Dems, and I feel slightly ill saying that, but they voted against it because they said no, this is shit. And Labour was like, yeah, it's shit, but we're going to vote for it. It's like, well, then what? So yeah, I'm going to vote to blow my own dick off. It's like, all right, well, whatever. You do what you do, but then you don't have the right to come back round and be like, oh, it's not fair, it's so shit. It doesn't work that way.
Don't start complaining about something you voted for.